KPMG and the following organizations that appreciate and applaud the value of entrepreneurs are pleased to present The Entrepreneurs. In this episode of The Entrepreneurs, Dr. Allen Eaves, the man behind Canada's largest biomanufacturing company, STEMCELL Technologies.
STEMCELL Technologies is Canada's largest biomanufacturing company with over 1,800 employees. 1,200 employees work in 5 facilities in Greater Vancouver. A major exporter, STEMCELL is a key member of the global biomanufacturing supply chain with 97% of sales outside of Canada. Customers are biopharmaceutical companies and academic life science research institutes in the United States, Europe, and Asia.
A company founded 32 years ago by a 54-year-old with 2 high-powered jobs and a vision.
The truth of the matter is that not too many people are getting cured of their disease. And how do we do that? And that's really what research is all about.
A vision that has expanded and is driven by that same man who today, at 86 years of age, continues to dare to dream large.
I would like STEMCELL to be the signature company of Canada, right? Yeah, we had BlackBerry, we had Nortel, right? And now we've got maybe Shopify, but what's the matter with STEMCELL? My goal is to create a company that's always focused on doing new things, isn't really worried about too much about money because we're making money, and we're just employing all these smart young people.
Allen Eaves' story began in the apple orchards of Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley, where his father, who was nicknamed Dr. Apple, pioneered controlled atmospheric storage so apples could be kept up to a year instead of only for a few months.
I remember going into my father's lab. There's an agricultural research station in Kentville, Nova Scotia, and going into the lab there and smelling sort of chemicals and thinking this is a place where you can change the world.
First studying cell biology. And along the way, he earned his MD and then his PhD. His academic journey led him to Vancouver, where he came in direct contact with the emerging practice of bone marrow transplantation for patients with leukemia, a practice in its infancy in Seattle.
We sent a patient to Seattle to get transplanted, and the bill came back for basically it was $300,000 US, and I said, we should be doing these things here for patients with leukemia here. We spent a lot of time talking to the hospital administrators and the provincial administrators of the healthcare system, and eventually we got some money, and we started a bone marrow transplant program. Really, it was the first large one in Canada.
First, he and his wife Connie designed the process of harvesting bone marrow from a patient with leukemia. Next, transplant that healthy bone marrow back into the patient. It worked.
We had done like 300 transplants on patients from outside of British Columbia at $100,000 a transplant. And so we brought in like $30 million into the BC economy.
Canadian healthcare as a service to the world. And the reason he hangs on to the concept makes financial sense.
People who are wealthy like to go abroad for their healthcare, to get the very best healthcare. And we have a wonderful healthcare system here in British Columbia, right? So why not share that with rich people who will help pay for our healthcare system?
He was the head of the Terry Fox Lab, chief of clinical hematology at the bone marrow transplant program at Vancouver General Hospital, and leader of a small but growing media culture business.
At 2:45 in St. John's Harbor, Terry Fox dipped his foot into the waters of the Atlantic Ocean.
When Terry Fox was 18 years old, doctors discovered cancer in his right leg. It would change his life and change Canada forever.
When you're a cancer researcher, there's never enough money to do all the things you want to do. So, how could we make a little more money to support our students and buy equipment, send the kids off to meetings and stuff like that? Because there's not much money for a lot of that.
He and a fellow scientist began producing and selling cell culture media around Vancouver. It worked. Money flowed in. Well, that is until a competitor undercut their prices. Never one to surrender, Allen searched for another idea.
We were collecting urine from people who were really anemic and put a freezer in their home and they collect all their urine. And some of them were really good excretors of this hormone erythropoietin. And we developed a way of purifying it and then started selling that. And that was, we needed to use it ourselves, but we also sold it to our colleagues around the world. And that was good. And that allowed us to actually buy a whole lot of raw materials for making media.
That standardized media culture became one of STEMCELL Technologies' founding products. Over the next 9 years, he ran the company in his off hours from his 2 other jobs. By the time he was told to retire, the company had grown to more than 50 people.
We're getting big. We need now much bigger facilities to make our products in larger volume and also to make them GMP. A lot of people want to use our products for clinical trials and as part of treatment of patients. And so they have to be made to a much higher standard.
STEMCELL has become a global company with sales and distribution centers in Europe, Asia, and North America. And as if that weren't enough, Allen says entirely new frontiers in regenerative medicine are opening exciting new possibilities.
What we're doing now is called cell biology. So it's regenerative medicine, getting tissues to regenerate, stem cell engineering, how to make cells, genetically engineer them to get rid of bad genes and put their cells back into the patient to, make them normal. And now we're understanding how all the immunology of cancer, so using patient cells to kill cancer cells. This is a revolution going on here.
The future is exciting and limitless. Staying on top of the opportunities demands growth. STEMCELL is acquiring American companies and bringing them into the Canadian fold.
So combining those 2 things is what I've sort of feel good about in STEMCELL, right? We're making the world a better place, but we're also providing the underpinnings of a very vibrant healthcare system that is now moving away from chemicals to treatment with cells.
Allen Eaves stands as a testament to the value entrepreneurs bring to people's lives and the communities they serve. Be sure to visit theentrepreneurs.ca and sign up for our newsletter so that you don't miss an episode.